Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today, we have a very special podcast because we have one of my amazing clients joining us today, and she's going to be sharing with us more about her success, her amazing success story that she's having in the program. We've only been working together for the past 3 months and a little bit more, I think going into
Yeah.
4 months, but in that very short period of time, she's had such an amazing success. And the reason why I keep saying that is because I remember when she joined the call, she told me a few things. One of them is that she used to have disordered eating, which is something we're going to discuss. She didn't have the best relationship with food. She was indulging in food a little bit too much. Her training was amazing. And I think training is always the easy part, but it's always like the challenge with the nutrition. And it's mainly the relationship that she had with food before joining the program. But 3 months later, she's looking amazing, literally amazing. She's feeling amazing. She's having such a great relationship with food. She no longer feels like she has to indulge. She doesn't feel like she's binging. She doesn't feel guilty, which is something that is a very common thing to feel. And she's going to be sharing all of that with us. So without further ado, Cristina is here with us. Thank you so much, Cristina, for making the time. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. And thank you also for just enabling me to have this opportunity as well to just share my story, which is awesome. Like, I think
Yeah.
it's cool to just acknowledge positive progress that you have. So, yeah, definitely good to be here today.
Yeah, exactly. And I think your progress, it's not just physical, because physical, guys, if you guys look at the pictures on my Instagram from Christina, you're gonna see how amazing she's looking. But it's more the mindset thing. And that's one thing that people, I think, don't really think about it too much when they start with the fitness journey. It's all about
Mm.
mindset, like training or physical aspect is one thing, but I think the mindset is the thing that controls everything. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you felt about yourself before you joined my program?
I have been training, I guess, and that's been the easy part for me for some time now. And before I started with the program, I actually came across your page through my friend Cristina. And I was actually quite apprehensive about joining a coaching program because I have had, like you've touched on before, that experience a number of years ago where I previously had a coach and he they coached me down, sorry, down to very low calories. I think at the time I was eating under 1,000 calories a day. And that did develop some really, really poor habits when it came to my nutrition. It really created a lot of triggers and a lot of I guess guilt and fear around food. And it's been a long journey for me to try and get back to neutrality. And truthfully, when I joined the program, I knew that I was training right, but I just didn't feel like I was getting the progress that I needed through my nutrition. And I was almost a little bit fearful.
Mhm.
I felt like I could be getting more out of what I was doing. And so I was fearful in the fact that I didn't want to join a coaching program again where it didn't enable me to balance my lifestyle and it created that I can have this and can't have this mindset. And that was my biggest fear around it. And it was actually quite interesting for me, I guess, in the first instance, when I did join the program, my goal actually wasn't really necessarily to lose weight or anything else like that. It was actually to ensure that I was fueling my body correctly.
Yeah.
So there has definitely been a shift for myself where I find that while I'm on this nutrition program, it's been awesome that I can see progress in myself while still enabling myself to find that healthy balance in situations that I previously would have lost control over and would
Yeah.
have enabled them to be a binge or a trigger incident, which is definitely credit to you as well, where we have that open line of conversation where we can actually just talk about what we have going on and how we can manage it. And I don't ever feel like I am in a position where I have to send it for one event and then kind of get back on track. It's always just that you keep progressing with your life. So before I joined the program, I was feeling all right, like in terms of in myself, but I knew I could be feeling better. And I just really wanted to like step up and just feel so much better myself. And I can definitely feel that that's happened, which is amazing. I can feel the progress and I just can recognize that I'm actually fueling myself so much better. And that has led into like different aspects of my life. Because I feel like once you feel good internally, you see your outlook on like, I guess your general day to day definitely shifts as well, which has been an awesome thing to have experienced as well. So that's been really, really good.
Yeah. And I remember when you joined almost 4 months ago, you were like, I was very hesitant to reach out to a coach because of that experience that you had almost 3 years ago. So it took you three
Mm.
years to be able to get back to your normal self, to be able to reach out to someone. And that just shows you like whenever you work with someone that maybe doesn't have the best approach, or maybe their approach is a little bit too restrictive, you develop that unhealthy relationship with food, which is exactly what happened to you. And that
Yeah.
it's very unhealthy because no one wants to have an eating disorder. No one wants to be binging. No one wants to be feeling that way. Like that happened a little bit to me when I did my bodybuilding competition, which is such a horrible feeling because you cannot help it. You just want to eat and eat and eat and eat. And that's because we have been restricted for so many months. With you, it was like 20 calories a day, 1,000 calories a day, which is literally
Yeah.
nothing, nothing. And that's why you went into that mindset of I can't have this, I cannot have this. This is healthy, this is unhealthy. Like, the very unhealthy relationship you had. And 3 years later, you finally you were able to reach out. Thanks to Cristina, because I know you had a conversation with her and then she motivated you. And also,
Yes.
it's frustrating when you're working so hard at the gym, but you don't see the progress that you want to see because you were in a lot of time. I knew that your fitness was always like, 10 out of 10, but it was just the nutrition side. The nutrition side that was like holding you back a little bit because you were not getting the results that you were putting, the results that you were putting for all the effort that you were doing at the gym, which is,
Totally.
it's one thing. But how did you overcome that, unhealthy relationship with food? How did you, or what changes did you made like in those past 3 years after you stopped working with that coach? How did you reach out for help, or were you just doing everything by yourself?
At the time, I was doing everything by myself. It, it has always been, unfortunately, a bit of a battle, and it's unfortunately something that you always have in the back of your mind. Like I can still at times feel it, but it's so much more manageable when it doesn't consume me like it used to, because it used to be something that was all consuming and you'd think about it all the time. And truthfully, in reflection, it is a bit of a blur. I just got back to myself. I got back to some point of, I guess, almost sticking to some kind of routine that I had established for myself, which I felt good enough with. And I could, and it, and in that way, I didn't feel like I was missing out on other things. So I just was able to keep on cruising at that point. But even, I guess, now, in comparison, while I'm on this plan, I reflect in the fact that on my previous plan, I used to hoard. This is actually quite embarrassing. I used to hoard treats and chocolates and stuff like that if they would get handed out by the office. And every time I had a craving for them, I would pull it out of my desk, I'd look at it, and I'd put it away. And I'd never, and then it would lead to a position where I would eventually binge on them, those kind of things. While now I have like chocolate and stuff like that in my program, and it sits in my pantry, and it doesn't, like, if I want it on that day, then I'll have it and I'll put it into, and I'll select it from what you've got offered for me. And then otherwise I just don't. And I don't have those over like obsessive thoughts anymore. And I I think what it is it's coming to acceptance with myself as well. I think there's been a lot of internal growth that I have done over these last couple of years, which was really necessary. Yeah, a lot of self-reflection, I guess, to acknowledge the fact that in reality, if I am exercising and I am doing these kind of things, I ultimately want my body to function well. And that's also what led me to you, because I wanted to ensure that I was fueling myself correctly and eating enough, because I genuinely didn't think I was fueling myself with the right kind of things.
Yeah.
So that was my ultimate goal, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you mention about the chocolates. I know at that time it wasn't funny, but now that you talk about it, I know it's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that just shows you that whenever we have that restrictive mindset, it's like when you tell your brain or your body that you cannot have that thing, in this case, the chocolate, you want it more and you want it more and more and more. And that's why you were binging on those chocolates. Or whenever someone tells you you don't have this, it's unhealthy, you're like, yeah, I cannot have it. But then your brain wants it more. And that's why, again, that binging cycle is just never ends. That you hoard it and then you binge and then you cycle that. It's so hard to get out of that. But I'm so happy that you did.
Yeah.
3 years later, I'm so happy that you're in a much better space mentally, physically, you're feeling better, you're looking better, and you just have that healthier relationship with food. Like you said, if we include things in the meal plan, whether it's like ice cream or chocolate, because we don't have to restrict ourselves from that. We can have it. It's a moderation, but it's also allowing ourselves or making sure that we don't feel too restrictive to go to the, I cannot have this. This is gonna make me gain too much body fat. This is, go back to square one.
I think actually that's been the biggest shift that I think has been more maintainable for me. Like, and previously I have been so obsessive that like I wouldn't even like venture anywhere out of the plan. And while in this instance, like I do have occasions where I will like go out and have lunch with my friends or see my family or dinners with my partner. And that at those times, I'm not as structured in terms of what it is against the plan, but you kind of like accept that night for what it is and enjoy that company and then move on. While previously that would be all consuming, or I wouldn't even consider taking part in it. So my ultimate goal was for a lifestyle shift. And I feel like that's definitely what I've been able to achieve while also, like I said previously, progressing in my goals, which has been amazing.
Yeah, and I feel like the mistake that many coaches make whenever, let's say, a client goes out and needs something, and then you tell your coach, I just had a burger, I feel guilty or whatever. Some coaches take the extreme approach and tell you, like, that's so bad, don't do it again. And I feel like that just makes you feel so scared. And I think that's maybe you were a little bit intimidated to reach out to your previous coach when those things happen because you don't want him to tell you off. And that's why I think like having a really open communication and having a good relationship with your coach makes a huge difference. Because if you're intimidated, if you're not able to reach out, there's going to be so many things that happen and that you will feel like I cannot communicate this with him or with her because they're going to get mad at me. They're going to get so angry. So yeah, communication, and I tell you guys this all the time, but communication, good relationship, it does make a huge difference in your coaching, in your experience, in your journey. But how do you feel now? Like 3 months into the program, how do you feel now about yourself and your fitness journey?
I do actually feel really good. Like I feel like I can see so much progress in myself physically. I feel accomplished in the fact that I feel in control of what I'm consuming and I don't feel like I've gone to that, like had those kind of, I was, like I said to you before, I was really fearful that I would go backwards with my relationship with food. And I don't feel like that's happened, which has been awesome. And yeah, physically, I feel like there's been a lot of changes in my body, which has been awesome to see. And I'm just really enjoying that aspect of it as well, like genuinely, which has been really awesome, both in terms of physical strength and then also in terms of just physical appearance as well. I do actually get some people coming up to me now at the gym and just acknowledging that, which is kind of cool, and passing that it's kind of more external as well. Not that I need the external validation, but I guess it's also it's nice in that regard. Yeah. And so it's, I feel like I said but previously, I feel like as soon as you start, I mean, obviously I feel like people always experience the up and down days, and some days I feel better than others, and that's probably just a reflection of just human nature. But I feel like I said, as soon as you start feeling good internally, I feel like it just shifts so many other aspects of your life, which has been so positive. In terms of just how I see everything. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and you do look amazing. I tell you this all the time. Like every time I see your post speech, I'm like, how is your body changing so much? Like you can see like your amazing delts, your back, everything. But something else you mentioned earlier is that when we started in this program, like with you and me, the first month because you didn't want to develop that unhealthy relationship with food. So we didn't use the scale because you told me I don't want to use the scale. I just want to be more mindful with what I eat. And that's exactly what we did. Like we didn't jump straight onto using the scale because scale is a tool that we have to use at the beginning. If we have very specific goals like losing body fat, gaining muscle mass, scale is just a tool to help us get there. But with you, we took a little bit of a different approach to make sure that we don't go back to that feeling of having that unhealthy relationship. And I think that's something that really, really helped you. And slowly just be more mindful and be better with everything. And hello. And
yes,
it's okay. For those of you watching, you can see that's her dog. And how
she always pops in.
Yeah, and you take her for a walk. I mean, you take him for a walk every single day. Yeah, that's
I do.
I love cardio with him every single day.
Sorry, she just distracted me quite a bit. Actually, I can't remember the point that we were going on. But in terms of the plan, in terms of the plan, and good. Sorry,
it's fine.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Frankie off. Another really exciting thing, and I think this is also a reflection of your support as well, is the fact that we are moving into a build phase, and something that you probably were going to touch on anyways. And I feel like that, to me, and feeling comfortable enough to do that with you just shows like how much I'm in a better space to actually enable myself to grow in that way and actually see my body change in a different way as well, rather than the stereotypical cut and tone kind of path. So really, really excited to actually go through that phase together and see what that kind of outcome is going to be. Gosh, right, just
Yeah.
my phone.
It's okay. Yeah, and I really like you're always asking questions. You're always asking like, why are we doing this? What is this? What is that? Which is something that it's essential because you want to learn what you're doing. You don't want to just get given a meal plan, which is again another mistake that a lot of coaches do. They just give you the meal plan, they just give you the training program, they expect you to know everything. But I think just having that communication and knowing exactly what phase of the program you're in, why we're doing those changes, why we're doing those things, is going to help you as a client understand better just everything, overall what's going on. But what will you say like it has been the biggest mindset shift for you in the past almost 4 months?
That deviating or having something slightly off plan doesn't mean I should self-destruct, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't mean that all progress has failed. It doesn't mean that I have to wipe off the day. It just means you just jump back on track kind of thing. And even like I said, I've probably touched on this a few times in this conversation already anyways, but if there is an occasion where there is a bit of a sweet treat or something that I want, I have it, and it's so awesome that I can now reflect and be like, okay, that's enough, and I stop and I move on, when previously it really wasn't that way at all. So that's been probably the biggest thing, and I think that's been the thing that probably would enable me to sustain this kind of journey for so much longer, which is awesome. Like, that's the ultimate goal for me, really.
Yeah, and I think like many people watching this or listening to the podcast, they will be able to relate to this because I was the same. Like when I started with my journey, I had the mindset of like all or nothing. Like if something goes wrong, if I have that chocolate, if I have that ice cream, I will go into this mindset of like, hey, what the hell? I might as well just finish the whole thing. I'll get back on track tomorrow. And then tomorrow you might not feel like getting back. And then it's like tomorrow, and then tomorrow and then Monday never happens. Or maybe you just feel so guilty, so disappointed that you go into this cycle of like telling yourself you're a failure, you're this, you're that. And it's not a nice feeling because you keep having this like constant battle with yourself of like, why do you do this? Like, why? You keep asking yourself those questions. But I think like having this sustainable and realistic approach also makes a difference because it allows you to enjoy those treats, allows you to be mindful. Like if you want to have that chocolate, you can have that chocolate, but you don't feel like I need to have the whole thing, or you don't feel like this is my only time of the day or the week that I'll be able to have this. Let me enjoy this, and then I'll get back on track. That's that's a mindset shift that takes time to work. Takes time to change that. It's not an overnight change. It doesn't happen just in 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It takes time, and we're still working on that. I think we haven't so much. But I think there's always work to do, like always, 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 always. And what about like the days when you go out with your friends on the weekends during the week, or when you went to a festival for a few days and you were off track a little bit? How do you ensure that you didn't go back to that mindset of, a few days off, I just lost all my progress, what the hell? And, I start feeling guilty.
I think I've established the routine where I can feel in myself that I feel so much better on track anyways. So as soon as I have the opportunity to return to that, my body desperately wants it, and my mind, for how I operate, it just desperately wants to return to that routine. I think after I went to Meatstock, it was a funny event, but yeah, after that, it was 3 days basically off track and in a different environment than what I'm used to, because I don't drink very often. I don't usually have that much time out of routine. But for me, I was just like, okay, I enjoyed that time. It was a great, experience with my friends. And then literally as soon as I could, it was just more return to that routine, because that's just how I operate now. It's just that. So it wasn't that side of it. It was just normal programming for me. So it is just rinse and repeat basically, just as soon as you can. So, and I knew it was a temporary off deviation, and that this kind of program is my standard. So, and I think that's been the best part of it.
Yeah, and I think that's a mindset that we all want to get to. Like, ensure that we
Mm,
can go out, enjoy, whether it's a week, if you go away somewhere, a few weeks or the weekend, but just making sure that you allow yourself to enjoy that time, allow yourself to have something that, don't go too crazy, be mindful with your choices, and then once you're ready, get back on track. Because your body will
definitely.
feel that you'll feel so bloated, like after having, let's say, a week,
Yes,
like eating burgers, having fun, but having something different from your usual meal plan or having more
yeah,
alcohol, you will feel the next week. And your body
yes,
will tell you, like, I feel tired, I feel bloated, I feel like there's so much inflammation, you feel in your abdomen, and you feel all the symptoms. And that's
yeah.
why you're like, I wanna get back on track. I don't have to, but I wanna get back on
Want
track
to.
because,
Yeah,
yeah,
because
it
it,
makes me feel good.
yeah, and like the way that I feel now is my normality. So that, like the bloating and the discomfort and everything else is not my norm anymore. So that's why didn't want to stay in that. So yeah, that's pretty much as like as soon as I could just return to that programming. And then like you said, you don't have that guilt and you enjoy the occasion and then you move on. So how good.
Yeah. And do you think like having a structure, like with your meal plan, with your training program, does that help you to have this routine that you have now?
Definitely, definitely. I was even the training program, it's been really good having something to go off and progress from. I've been really, really enjoying that. And just looking at, I get excited to look across the workouts for the week and just when I can fit them in and everything else like that. And that kind of structure definitely, I feel like helps just for me to stay on track. And so, yeah, I have my normal routine of Sunday prepping for the week, and I keep it pretty simple and pretty easy, just to make sure that I don't really have the opportunity to deviate. And I think that's forward planning is the biggest thing that I would
Yeah.
swear most coaches would say anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's always, I always tell you guys, like, planning, 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 it's everything. But because it does help so much. Like, if you don't prep your meals, or if you didn't buy your groceries, it's just much easier to get something that's more convenient. And
yeah,
often those convenient options are not the best option. If it happens every now and then, it happens to all of us, that's fine. But if it's happening every single day, every single week, then that tells you, like, maybe you don't have a routine in place. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe you're lacking structure, and that's something that's going to help you. And something else I want to touch on that we didn't really touch on too much before, but that time, those 3 years that you were having the eating disorder, that you were having that unhealthy relationship with food, how was this impacting you on a daily basis? Or how was this impacting you with your family, friends, with your partner, at work?
um so I have a vivid memory of when I had finished what I think it was one of my first ever trigger events. And I remember coming home and just crying to my mum about it, but not being able to put into words what I've experienced and the level of guilt that I felt in myself for just eating something that wasn't a part of my plan. It was quite hysterics. And then after that point, it kind of almost transitioned into a bit of a secret, like a secret kind of thing that you just kind of managed. And I can definitely say that I can be a cold person, unfortunately, I guess, or I can be a pretty blunt person. And I would say that that time when I was experiencing like so much turmoil in myself, because I guess food is something you can't escape. Like we as humans, we are hungry, and you have to eat to for day-to-day function kind of thing. So it would be something that you'd always have in the back of your mind. And I definitely can acknowledge that in that period I wasn't the best version of myself. Like I was at times probably irritable to be around or super sensitive or um just seeing the worst in things. So yeah, it's kind of sad. It's sad in reflection that I got to that point.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah, it
yeah.
is that, yeah. But I think the good thing is that you realize that, and that you did
Yeah,
something. Because I think that
totally.
sometimes people, a woman, we make the mistake that, yeah, we know we are aware that, or we're aware of that, but we don't do anything to change it, or we
Yeah,
are too afraid to change it, or to reach out. Which, if you're feeling like that right now, like, reach out to someone that can help you. I know it's scary and I know it's challenging, but I also know that if you keep feeling stuck and you don't do anything about it, you're gonna keep feeling the same way, and nothing's gonna change
yeah,
it. If you want to change
definitely.
something, maybe you need that external help from someone that has a little bit more experience, that can guide you better and can help you with this journey. But how do you think like the mindset that you have now, has that helped you in different areas of your life? Maybe at work, relationship, friends, like how is this impacting your life now?
I mean, I think definitely even doing this podcast is not something I would naturally do. I'm not a, but I'm not that much of a talker or someone that shares anything about myself in this kind of forum. And I think also in terms of at work, I would say, yes, I would say that because I can be more in routine and everything else, I'm more productive at work. I would say now in my relationship now, which is different to one that I was in my previous plan, um, I would say that I show up more positively for him than I have for previous partners, which has been awesome. Because like I've said, like if you're not feeling great, you don't often show up as the best version of yourself, which I think has definitely been a good thing for us. And then just in general, like I feel like I also show up better for myself and
Mhm.
I prioritize myself for what I need as well. And I can recognize even I can even recognize when my body needs that rest as well, because that's the other thing, it's not only food, you can also turn into that overtraining or overcompensating kind of mindset for everything. And I would say I do less now than I have before, and I
Mhm.
feel better for it. So, which has been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think overtraining was gonna be my other question because I know that's something
Yeah.
that we were doing before. But yeah, I think that just shows you like what you said right now, how it has impacted you. Like at work, you're more productive, you have more routine with your partner. It just shows you guys once again, like fitness does impact your life in general. It's not just about the way you look, but it's how you feel, like how you feel on the inside and on the outside. It does affect your relationships. It does affect how productive or maybe not too productive you are on a daily basis. It does affect how you show up at work, how you show up for yourself, how you show up for other people. So yeah, think about it. Just remember fitness, it's everything. And I want to keep saying this in every single episode, but fitness does change you in so many ways, not just your body, but it does help you and influence you so, so much. But let's touch a little bit about overtraining because I know this is something that you've done. I've done overtraining for so many years in the past. But how did you change your mindset from going to someone that was maybe overtraining to understanding that actually I need to take a break? I need to let my body rest if I want to perform better for my next workout. Like, was that hard to change that mindset? And if yes, like, how did you do it?
I think it was a bit. It's something like I used to train twice or more a day um, quite often. That would be like five, 6 times a week kind of thing. And I would say I'm still quite an active person. Um, but I think it's also recognizing, like, shifting my mind to the fact that I want to actually just be in a healthy space, both physically and also mentally. And I think acknowledging that your body needs rest to progress. And so yeah, definitely shifting my workouts. They're even short, like I don't have to spend as much time in the gym because I know I have what's in front of me and I don't add on extras kind of thing. And then also just not spending hours doing excessive cardio or whatever else. So it is hard to let go of. Like I am probably someone that still remains active every day. Like if I'm not at the gym, I will still walk my dog, but that's also because she looks at me like she wants it, and that's fine. But um, but I would definitely take full days off the gym. Like today, I'm not going to the gym, and like I know in myself that that's fine, and that's probably exactly what my body needs to ensure that I have a better workout tomorrow. Which is yeah, it. I don't know exactly what was the trigger point in changing that. I think it was just trusting you. Because I would say that's probably when I started transitioning to actually being more mindful about my rest days, because you would say make sure you're not overdoing it and ensuring you're keeping to the program. So yeah, I would probably say that you would be that main trigger to enable me from doing that.
Well, I'm happy. I'm so happy it helped because I remember you were training you were overtraining before. You were training,
Mm.
going for walks, going for swim, training twice a day, which it can be too much for your body, but also your mind. That you can get to a point that maybe not now, but after a few months of doing that repetitively, it just gets too much. And then you might get to a point that you're like, I don't want to train anymore. I've had too much, I had enough. And you might even develop a very healthy relationship with training that you stop training completely. And I was like, I don't want that to happen to you. Let's change something. And that's why now you're training 5 times a week. So you're resting twice a week from weight training, but you still do your cardio every day because you have to take your dog out for a walk. So it's nothing crazy. Like you don't do like a sprint or anything like that. If you feel like running, you'll go for a run. If you feel like swimming, you will do a swim. But it's more like intentional. It's not about I have to get this done. If I want to get results, it's more like, yeah, I want to get it done, or my dog, but it's more, it has more structure. It's not just like overtraining how it was before, which is amazing. And if you're overtraining, if you guys are overtraining, if you're training twice a day, or maybe you're spending 3 hours at the gym, that's what I used to do before. And the mindset that I used to have, it was like the more time I spend training, the more time I spend at the gym, the better results I'm gonna get. Or, I'm gonna lose more body fat. I'm gonna gain this more muscle mass. But it's not like that. Your body doesn't need 3 hours of workout at the gym. Your body doesn't need 7 days a week. It makes kind of more sense that the more you train, the more results you're gonna get. But sometimes the less you train, the more results you're gonna get, because your body is gonna be resting better. You're gonna be able to perform better every single training session. Your recovery is just gonna be amazing, and that's gonna give you much better results. I've got 2 more questions for you. And the first one is, how do you overcome, or how do you stay so motivated? Like the days that you feel unmotivated, you're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to eat my meals. I just want to feel, I feel like eating McDonald's. Like, how do you overcome that and ensure that you don't go off track too much?
I would say that for myself, if I do have a day where I just feel fatigued, or I feel like I don't feel like sticking to the plan, which I have actually experienced, when was it? It was probably on Friday, actually, where I was probably just had a busy week at work and everything else. For myself, I was like, okay, well, just get through most of the day and stick to the plan as best you can, which I did. I stayed on plan. And I'm like, and then if you still feel that way at the end of the day, then if you're wanting something different for dinner, then I like you can have it. Because I don't typically go off plan if I'm by myself. It is only ever when I'm with other people that I will go off plan. But it seems like that day I just needed to. And for me, I was like, okay. And so then I did end up getting, I think it was some kind of chicken vegetable takeaway, which isn't that excessive, but that's what I felt like,
Yeah.
And then and then I just was like, okay. And then I had satisfied myself for what I needed, while not really deviating too much, and still being able to ensure that I was getting the right kind of food in, and then went back into routine. And even for myself, when there is some days that I have experienced recently where I've just been so burnt out and tired. And sometimes in those instances, I have recognized that actually, you know what, this isn't the best day to train. So then I'll shift around my routine and then focus on other things in terms of what will actually make me feel better, and that is rest and recovery. But for me, routine when it comes to going to the gym, it's not, I don't want to sound like I'm like, oh, and it is more innate for me now. So that's not really a hard thing for me to achieve anymore. But yeah, when it came to the nutrition, it was really just, okay, stick to the goal, and then enabling myself that kind of freedom towards the end if I still wanted it. And then sometimes in some instances I don't. And by the end of the day, you kind of feel better when you're on track and on routine, and your mindset shifts. So that's usually what I found that's helped for me.
Yeah, and I like how you do that, because you have that conversation with yourself, and then you tell yourself, I'm gonna stick to the plan the whole day. If by the nighttime I feel like having something, I will have something, and then you allow yourself to have that. Because they can go the other way around. You can just be like, yeah, whatever, I'll just eat whatever I feel like eating, and then you feel guilty, and again we go into that cycle. But I think having that little talk with yourself, it helps so much. I feel like, I don't know if you do this, but I talk to myself all the time. Like whenever I'm worried about something, or stressing about something, or I feel like doing something, I have that conversation by myself first, to ensure that I'm not thinking crazy things, and I'm just thinking, okay, this makes sense, or this is the thing, we should try this way, try that. Because like sometimes, if you just go with the first thought that comes to your mind, that first thought, it's not always the best thing, or it's not always the best thought. It's not always something positive. But if you reflect on that and take a little bit more time, ask yourself more questions, that's when you're like, oh, actually, it's better if I try this, or let's do that, let's do that. Yeah. So my point is, just have that conversation with yourself. Like ask yourself questions rather than you running to get that chocolate or that ice cream and then feel guilty. Just have that conversation. And what will you say to someone sitting on the fence of joining this program?
I would say I would encourage them to do it. I feel like you never like lose out on investing in yourself. I feel like even if it even if you learn some tools in the short term, sorry, that you can impose on your day to day moving forward, if I feel like that's a massive impact and improvement into your life anyways. And I feel like Danny is extremely supportive. I feel like you get like a really reliable and genuine coach from her, and I would strongly encourage it, because I feel like if you're sitting on the fence, it's you actually like it's almost like you're holding yourself back when everything else wants you to go. Does that make sense at all? Like
Makes sense.
you should just take the leap, because I feel like that's just showing you that you're ready for it. So I would encourage everyone to do so, definitely.
Yeah, thank you for the nice words. But yeah, guys do it. Like that investment, I think it's because people are just afraid of changing their routine, because we are
Yeah.
so used to being comfortable with things that we're doing now that we don't want to change that. We want to keep eating the same foods, or maybe not training, just be in the couch, watching TV, whatever you're doing. But if your routine, it's always the comfortable place. And that's why people don't want to step out of that. They want to stay there. And that's why sometimes they're a little bit afraid of investing in themselves, because they might think, what's the point? I'm gonna lose my money. I'm not gonna reach my goals. I'm such a failure. I'm this and that. But if you don't try, you'll never know. You just have to give it a try. You need to start investing in yourself, because that's the best thing you can do for yourself. Clothes is not gonna give you anything. Yes, maybe it's gonna make you look pretty, but is that gonna make you feel good about yourself long term? Bags, jewelry, shoes, amazing things, but are they gonna make you feel good about yourself long term, about your mindset? I don't think so. But I think investing in your health, investing in your fitness journey, investing in your personal development are things that are gonna help you. Because something that you mentioned, Christina, if you feel good on the inside, then you're gonna feel good on the outside. Like that's gonna reflect how you look and how you feel. So it's a big change. Oh yeah, it's a big investment that you're making. So don't think too much. Just get it done. But thank you so much, Christina, for being here. I really appreciate your time. Is there anything else you want to mention before we go?
No, I think we've basically covered everything off. I am really excited. This is going to be like touching on it again, but my first proper build with a coach, and I'm just really excited to see where that goes, and just having your guidance with it. And like you said, I think if you are on the fence, just have some self-awareness that you can recognize the fact that you are probably self-sabotaging yourself, and you just don't want to get in a plan. Just having a meal plan doesn't mean it's miserable. Like, it doesn't mean that at all. It just means that you are more mindful when you can actually ensure that you're fueling and progressing in yourself like you want to. So I would definitely, like I said,
Yeah,
would encourage it.
exactly. A meal plan is not just chicken and rice. I know that is
No,
painted that way, but trust me, Christina doesn't just have chicken and rice. Like there's so many
no,
other meals that you can have. It doesn't have to be boring. It can be boring if you want to, but it doesn't have to be. Like you can enjoy many things. There's no right or wrong. There's not good or bad. There's no healthy and healthy. There's not yes and no. Like there's a balance with everything, with your nutrition, with your training. And if you want that balance, work with someone. Because if you have been doing this by yourself for a long time and you're not getting the results that you want, maybe you're not doing something. So if you want
yeah.
to change, you need to make a change. So thank you so
I,
much. Sorry,
Actually, I will touch on one more thing. I'm so sorry.
go.
I'm just thinking that, like, I have been training for a while, like 5 or 6 years or something like that. And I had the knowledge from a previous coach, but I still didn't find the same progress that I've found with you. So I feel like that also just shows that sometimes you might be thinking you're doing the right things, but having that external person that you can rely on also would enable you to progress so much more. And if you are like me in the fact that you are someone that is active and mindful and everything else, but aren't getting the results, I feel like that's just a direct reflection of the fact that maybe you just need the extra assistance, and you'll just get so much more progress from it. Yeah.
Exactly. That's such a great point, because I feel like people, when they have the knowledge, it's good to have the knowledge because that knowledge helps. But I feel like knowledge is not everything. That knowledge is not gonna help you stay accountable. That knowledge
Yeah.
is not gonna take you to the gym. That knowledge is not gonna help you lose that body fat. It's not gonna help you too much. It will help you, yes, a little bit, but like you said, like if you're not seeing the results, even if you're active, even if you're eating healthy, even if you're doing the right things, there's obviously something not working. And there's obviously something you need to change, or you need to add, or you need to remove. Otherwise, you're gonna keep looking the same way, you're gonna keep feeling the same way, and nothing's gonna change. So yeah, just again, knowledge is not everything. Knowledge is just one part of the puzzle, but it's not everything. So don't be afraid. Reach out to a coach that you want to work with. If you want to work with me, reach out to me. If not, find someone that you can relate to. Find someone that you're going to have a good conversation, a good relationship with, because remember, you're going to be working with that person. So you want that. And if you like this episode, don't forget to share it on your social media and tag me at Daniela del Carpio. Until next time. And as I always say, don't ever stop believing in yourself. Ciao.